So I think that was settled. We can be blamed, we can be criticized for making good progress and maybe not relaxing. That is a simple matter to resolve. It is much easier to resolve than if we had done nothing or failed or done entirely wrong thing altogether.
I want to remind the audience that time can be very relative. In 1994 is when we saw the Rwandan genocide. Paul Kagame came in as president year 2000. 9/11 happened in 2001, and of course we saw the U.S. And allies move in against Afghanistan. So for some, the Afghanistan war and occupation, well, I won't call it occupation, but the presence in Afghanistan was a very long time. It felt like a major burden. But when you think back to what Rwanda has done since 1994, it seems like yesterday. It seems just it was a very, very short time ago in which you've achieved so much. Anyone that's been to Kigali has to be amazed. 10 years ago, you and I spoke in Istanbul about smart cities, bigger cities. You had a vision and a plan. And I'm interested now that you're entering your third decade as president of your country. Is there a reset in your vision? Is there a new vision, or is it still continuing the one you came into two decades plus ago?
Look, we have rebuilt a country. People have come together, narrowed their differences. We have made investments in our people, whether we talk about education, skills, technology, health, and many others, and also being able to create an environment that attracts more investments from outside. And on that basis, we have seen how the country has grown up to this point. Therefore, what we are trying to do now, we had the Vision 2020, which ran for 20 years, starting 2000. We made these investments. We brought in the energy in the region for regional integration, and so on and so forth. We didn't just talk about or deal with issues domestic. We also dealt with other matters, regional and continental, and also the partnerships between Africa and the rest of the world. So we've learned lessons ourselves. We try to really learn a lot of lessons. We consolidated the gains we made over the years and understood why we made such a progress. And then we continue to deal with the remaining problems. It is still work in progress. There are lots of problems and challenges to deal with. So we have now put in place another vision that spans 30 years and broken it into two parts, 15-15. And it's about where have we moved. Initially, a poor country, low-income country, aspiring to be a middle-income country. We look at what progress we have made over these years. And then we want to move even further and be an upper middle-income country in those 30 years, if not a developed country after that. So that's really what is preoccupying us now. It's consolidation of the gains and things that have worked and try to do more and better on those, and then deal with the challenges that remain or new ones that come up, but at least we've been able to create the foundation, and it's a very firm foundation with our people, with the understanding of where we are coming from and what we have to do to be where we have targeted to be. So I think that is in the 30 years when indeed you look at the change that there has been in close to 30 years now since the genocide. I think 30 years looks very small. So each Rwandan plays their part, and we want to continue on the same path.
Well, let me ask you a question, President Kagame, that's a little delicate. In 1995, I had the privilege of interviewing Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore, and many have compared you to be a Lee Kuan Yew type leader. And I asked then Senior Minister Lee when he would relax. When would he feel that the model that he had launched and put into place was secure enough that many of the tight controls, the security, the illiberal dimensions of the Singapore story could be relaxed? And he said that he would relax and people relaxed when it became obvious that the political opposition wasn't trying to tear things down, but were also trying to build up Singapore. That there were too many combustible issues that remained beneath the surface. And he said that if you let those up, they would eat away. And I'd be interested, because you've been criticized, as you know, on human rights issues, on liberalism, on treatment of journalists and intellectuals that have spoken out. How do you get the balance right? What are the equities between balancing an increasing society where liberalism becomes an important part of the picture, right next to strong and robust economic development? What's the model? And I would ask you the same question. When will you relax some of these issues?
Well, let me start by saying I welcome the criticisms made, some of them unfair, others may be fair, but that's life. But I always wonder, if we hadn't made progress, or if we had not survived at all, what would be the criticism today? So I think that was settled. We can be blamed, we can be criticized for making good progress and maybe not relaxing. That is a simple matter to resolve. It is much easier to resolve than if we had done nothing or failed or done entirely wrong thing altogether. That is, for me, the most important thing. The second part is being relaxed. I think I get a feeling that the country is actually relaxing. Over 30 years, it's moving towards that as almost at the same pace with the progress that is being made on the ground. And therefore, it's more of these factors on the ground, and actually the people themselves, they give feedback. You see it, you read it, you don't, unless you're just careless or you don't see things for what they are. But I don't see how people would fail to understand the interactions that have been taking place and still do, and therefore the outcomes of that, and be able to tell that things need to change this way or the other. It's not just going to be dependent upon me as a person to say, when do I tweak this or tweak that? It's really something that is more or less holistic. As I said earlier, the approach is looking at all dimensions of the problem of our society, and therefore evolving realistically to a next phase or another phase, if you will. So I think we are moving, and I don't want again to single out just one thing about the individual, secondly about the opposition, but It's the whole picture. I'm talking about the whole picture that brings into play what needs to play out in a society, in any society, to the benefit and to the good health of that society. It's not just one single thing here or one single thing there determining the process or even the outcome. It's rather a holistic picture that we look at.